Hi, I'd like to show you how to do a wonderful, vibrant watercolor painting using some stencils. The project that we're going to do entails where you live. It could be your state, your city, or even somewhere just from home. The first thing we're going to need to know about is the materials. We're going to use watercolor paper and watercolor brushes, but we're also going to use some wonderful watercolors made by Sakura. Fantasia are the children's grade. They come in this great container, they're tubes, and the top can actually be used for a palette. The ones we're going to use today are called koi. The tube watercolors are great because they're very economical and they get vibrant colors. So what we're going to use today are basic colors, and I'm going to add a little bit more of the green to my palette here. These are wonderful. They come out really fluidly and they're very economical for you to use, whether by yourself or in a group or even in a classroom setting. And they reconstitute, so if they've been out for a little while and they look like they've gotten dry, they really haven't. So for our project though, we're going to use some water, and I've taped my paper down so it doesn't warp, and I'm going to really saturate because we're going to create a background. So I'm going to use the clean water to really saturate the paper, and then we're going to add the watercolors and let them just bleed out with a wet on wet technique. So let's use these warm colors. You just touch these to the paper, oh my gosh, and they just vibrate and jump around and look so amazing. We'll mix these a little bit and get some orange in here. How about a little bit more red? This is so fun and so easy. Look how vibrant these koi watercolors are. We can actually use our paper towel to blot these a little bit to make our background even a little more interesting. This would need to dry for a few minutes, but I've already got one ready for you. We're going to add the stenciling, and I've already started that. And we're going to use a manufactured stencil, so it makes it easy to line up. So I'm going to spell Oregon, because that's where I'm from, but you could make your letters for anything that you wanted. So I'm going to line these up. Now the key to this is not using too much water with your watercolors. You want this to be a little bit drier. And we're just going to fill in with the stencils. If it's too wet, it'll bleed out from underneath. Now I've got one that I've actually finished for you because we're going to use a stencil and a splatter technique. So I've just cut this stencil out of a piece of acetate, and this is Mount Hood, which is where I live. Let's turn this way. This is another great way to use the watercolors. We're actually going to use a toothbrush, add a little bit of water, a little bit of paint, and then we're actually going to just run it on the back of the paintbrush, and it makes this great splatter, and where the acetate will block it out, and then it'll fill in. What fun is that? I've already got this one done for you. I actually repeated this stencil twice to give it this nice rhythm. Now I made some handmade stencils that we could use. This is just out of some cardstock. We can just use a thin brush, maybe a complementary color in cool colors, and we can just paint right around the edge. These koi watercolors are so vibrant and they're so fluid. They go on so nicely. Make your projects really stand out. That looks great. We could also use a stencil like this or like this. These are all handmade stencils, or you could buy stencils. Now let's look at our project again. You can vaguely see out the outlines and the splatter techniques. You could make this about where you live using the great koi watercolors. They're really vibrant and your paintings will be very successful.